Do I look at the glass half empty or half full? And if I'm looking at half full, how do I wake up every day? Am I intentional about making sure that I'm putting myself in the best position even when I don't know what's next? Welcome to the Check Yourself podcast, where we remind ourselves to reflect, improve, and grow. I'm your host, Annie, and I'm so excited to have you all here with me today. Today's topic is very dear to my heart because you see, as we're recording this right now, I'm currently going through this, and it's embracing change. I have this well thought out plan and for my life and how things are going to happen. And guess what? Just like that, it got turned upside down. So now I'm learning how to navigate change, how to adapt, and how to look at things from a different perspective. So in this episode, we'll talk about embracing change, why change is important, how we navigate it in the career space and also in life, and what lessons we can learn to help us grow. Remember, it's all about us reflecting, improving, and growing. So let's get started. All right, let's kick it off. When you're in the workplace and you're navigating change, it's hard, right? Because there is a lot of change that you are not planning for and you're not aware sometimes. I'll give you an example. You work for a company and it gets acquired by someone else or another owner. And now there's all these new rules and tips and things that you have to do in order to be successful in your role. There's all these new guidelines, right? So, how do you navigate that? How do you deal with those changes, especially when a lot of the times staff don't know until maybe 30 days out and it impacts your entire life? So, here's a couple things I would say. One, I always say this: if you are part of a company that's being acquired or merged, find out what are the best practices of the company that's buying your company. Understand what's important to them. And you might be saying, but Annie, how do I get this information? Where do I get this information? Go on their website, look at what's important, read some of the reviews, hear some of the YouTube videos. A lot of them do YouTube videos now. Look at the YouTube videos and see what people are talking about. See what's important to them. See what they value. See what that is that's important, why they're purchasing this now. Because a lot of times, if they're purchasing a company, there's a reason behind it. There's a greater vision. And you want to understand what that vision is because it impacts you and in your role. You may be looking at this video now and saying, but hey, I have an entry level. It's my first job. This, them acquiring this role means nothing, but it does. It really, really does. Without me mentioning companies' names, I know companies that have acquired certain positions, certain companies. They bought into other companies because of the line level, because of the amount of staff, because of the success of the folks that are actually working day in and day out. This is why it is so important that as changes like that come into your workplace, that you take the time, talk to your managers, talk to your leaders, do your own research. Sometimes you have the opportunities to meet the owners or meet some of the management team, find out what's important to them, and not and don't let it just be about them. Make it about you. And ask that very question that is hard to ask. How does your company impact my role now that you've purchased it? That is a tip that I tell everyone that I would recommend that you do. Because that's something that's unplanned, you don't know, and that you just kind of have to go through with it. Another thing I would say is give the company some time. Just like anything in life, sometimes a company buys another company and it seems like it's strict. People tend to want to leave. They're bringing in all these people, and some of the folks that used to be there is not there anymore. So you're feeling like, wow, the people I started working with are no longer here. I don't know if I want to stay. Make the evaluation for yourself, not based on people. So take your time, get to know them, give them the 90 day, the same way they give you the 90 day. And in that 90 day, some of the things I mentioned, make sure you get it done. Are you ready to take your career to the next level? Yes, you, I'm talking to you. Are you ready? Listen, here's what I want you to do. Open up that tab right now and type in www.elevateconsultingsllc.com and book your call with me. I promise you, you will not regret it. As I mentioned earlier, I'm currently in the midst of a big change myself. Plans that I thought were solidified, that were guaranteed, at least to me, have all shifted. And it's crazy because as I'm recording this, I have to figure out a way to make it work because I can't give up. I still got to record this podcast. I still got to do life. I still got to show up and be present for those that need me. But it's such a hard thing to do. There were times where I was just like, I don't want to record. I don't want to do anything. Just because I was so frustrated of not being able to control what's happening. And you know what's the oxymoron in this is I'm a person that has faith as well, right? So I'm struggling with balancing of having faith and knowing that it's all going to work out, but not being able to see the steps. But that's part of having faith, right? Is that you don't see the steps, but you know it's going to work. So this topic, even today, really hits home for me because it's challenging my thinking. It's really making me think about, okay, things didn't go the way you planned. Things are requiring you to step up to another level of faith. It's making you want to think about, like, okay, what next steps can I do when I don't know the unknown, or when there's things that happen, how do I address it? And one of the things that I had to talk to myself, because that's my first thing, is to talk to myself, not answer, but talk to myself and say, okay, what can I learn from this opportunity? So I share this because I know that we all do that in life. In life, there's even the person who is type A, who has everything worked out, outline, calendars, planners, something always shifts, and that's part of life. So what do we do in this process? How do you handle it? How do you resist change because of fear, as well as the fear of not knowing what's next? So, what I've decided to do is more so, instead of saying, okay, and worrying about, okay, I don't know what's next, it's more so, what do I need to learn from this, and how do I grow? Do I look at the glass half empty or half full? And if I'm looking at half full, how do I wake up every day? Am I intentional about making sure that I'm putting myself in the best position, even when I don't know what's next? I share all that just to say to you that be encouraged. Even as I'm talking to you guys and I'm recording this current episode, I've decided to change my mindset a little bit. And instead of looking at the glass half empty, half full, I'm here, I'm focusing, and I'm moving forward. Now it's time for our favorite part of the show. This is the part where we talk about, what are you currently checking yourself in this season? For me, when I think about it, I'm learning. I can't even say I'm learning. I'm checking myself on being more present and patient during the times of change. It's been rough for me because it's easy to get caught up in what could have been, what should have been, right? But I'm reminding myself daily that I gotta appreciate the here and the now, even if it looks different than what I've planned. One of our listeners emailed in, Sarah. Sarah, thank you so much for emailing in. And she shared her journey about changing, of how she went from working a corporate life to the entrepreneur life. One of the things that she shared with me is, she said, hey, everybody made it seem like entrepreneur was the best way to go. Owning a business was the best way to go. But nobody told her that now that it's your baby, it requires sleepless nights. Sometimes you put in more hours than if you were actually working a 9 to 5. The first year sometimes there's a loss before you profit. Sometimes you break even. And she said one of the things that helped her was she had to remember her vision, her plan, her end goal. So even as she's navigating these changes of, hey, I used to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Now I got to work Monday and Saturday, Monday through Saturday, sometimes 10 to 7, sometimes 11 to 5. Sometimes I work 9 to 2, but then take a break and come back. She realized that she just had to figure out what was her best strategy to help her grow and so that she could navigate this space of entrepreneurship, but still not lose herself. So some things that she incorporated were not just setting up a structure, but really being intentional about her time off, intentional about her breaks. So a lot of us do this when we take lunch. Sometimes we tend to email while we eat. Sometimes we tend to make a phone call. But during those seasons, it's really just about whether it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes. It's really her just being intentional. I share that and I thank you, Sarah, so much for sharing that because I think those are helpful, practical tips to help us navigate change, right? Is be intentional about your time and your space. For me, I think not only do I have to be intentional about my time and space, but I need to learn to give myself grace. I am so good at giving grace to other folks and being so patient with others as they navigate change and not taking it to heart. But when it's me, I tend to be a little tougher. So if you ask me, what am I checking myself in this season? It's just that being more patient, being present, and learning to give myself grace. I want you guys to think about these questions. And these are things that I'm thinking about even as we speak and as we record this. What would it look like when you're going through change if you woke up with a positive mindset? How would that shift your thinking? How would that shift your day? Think about that. Wow, what a conversation we've had today. We've covered a lot from navigating change in the workplace and into your personal life. It's a lot to think about. If there's one thing that I want you all to take away from this episode, is that change, although it's very uncomfortable, it's an opportunity for growth and self discovery. All right, you guys, as promised, I'm going to keep it short. I hope that you have an amazing day. Before you leave, if you could do me a favor, if you have not, make sure you click that subscribe button and show me that you're rocking with me. Follow me on all social media platforms. Look for Check Yourself Podcast or Coach Annie. And another thing, if you want to be part of the show, you want to share a letter, share some feedback, how you embrace change or anything, career or life, email me. Who knows? You could be featured on the next episode. The email is either right here as you're looking at the bottom of the screen or in the bio section. It is check yourself podcast at elevatingconsultings.com. Again, that's check yourself podcast, at elevatingconsultingsllc.com. Again, I'm so happy that you guys are rocking with me. If you are someone that is looking for a career growth opportunity or you're not sure, make sure you go out and sign up for the Elevate Me program, which is an 8-week program that's dedicated to personalized roadmap for you to get to success for your next role. Thank you guys. It's your girl, Annie. Until next time.